My name is Jay Roth. I am the host of the show. Previously on Real Men, Real Talk Live.
Even with, whether it's family members, whether it's even my own daughter, maybe she just at this point says, I don't want nothing to do with you. And I have to be able to understand that without being in my emotions and continue on with my life and continue to be happy. And to be honest with you, I don't want to sound mean, but maybe when she is ready to talk, maybe I'm not at that same space. Because I look at my mom now, who is literally close to passing away. And she's very sick. She can pass at any, day, month, whatever it may be. Not deathly ill, but, and then I think, you haven't seen your grandmother for no reason for the last 3 years. You threw away all these memories and everything that was right in front of you for no reason. Maybe I won't be at the same space, and that's okay too.
My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Viewers, welcome back. It's episode 182. This week, we are so excited to have in the studio a special guest. His name is Chris Morrison, coming in from a town called Gilbert, Arizona. Welcome to Real Men Real Talk Live, Chris Morrison.
Hey Jay, so excited to be on here, man. After following the show, I think I remember episode 100 and catching that and being super super excited and always kind of sitting there, on the Facebook group, going, man, that'd be really cool to join Jay on the show someday. And I don't think I ever really voiced that, and also I don't think I was ever in a spot, right? It was always a thought, but never action, um never the right place, and now it's so amazing to be here with you, to be here with Avery. I How do you say it? I'm reading your name and I'm going to butcher that.
Kaimalu.
Kamalu.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's just
Welcome. Welcome to have you here, Chris. Take a quick moment here. Welcome back, Avery, as well as Kaimalu. And tonight's episode, we met with Chris. By the way, Evis Heath is off this evening for a rare all-day workshop, and so this may be his third show that he's missing in 4 seasons. Ev, we're going to miss you tonight, but you were part of our production meeting this week, just on a couple of 24 hours ago on Sunday night. But in any event, viewers, if you should hear something that you like or love, we invite you to drop your comments down. If you have any questions for us, please share it out with your family and friends and your social media community and off social media as well. But in the meantime, this is a topic that Chris brought into the production meeting. The name of the show is called Living Out of Your Unconscious Document. And for many of us, we may not know what the heck you meant by that. So I want to invite you, Chris, to kick us off, get us hot, light us up, and drop in what does this show topic mean for you? And let's see where the topic takes us this evening as we dive in deep on the unconscious document.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. So yeah, for me, it's a term that, goes back to 4 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old. It's the things that people say over us, say into us, and do to us that then we live out of, right? And so people see a kid that is lashing out and, oh, he's an angry kid, right? And so now he hears that, she hears that, and it becomes part of their document. It gets written across them somewhere, somehow, and they go, oh, that that must be true, right? They said I'm angry. So they go from acting out of what they have been seeing and what they have been lived in their lived environment, their lived experience, and now becomes part of their operating system, part of how they now interact with the world. From anger, sadness, anxiety. When we say, "Oh, you're an anxious kid," or you're experiencing anxiety, instead of, wow, you have some stuff going on. That's how your body reacts when you have things going on. Let's have a conversation about the environment that you're in that's causing you to interact with the world that way. Instead of most of our lives, most people just have this label, right? Everything from a diagnosis, autism, ADHD, all those types of things, to the traits, and all the different ways that we show up in the world. So that's what unconscious document really means to me. And there's a lot more, ways that we interact with it, but that's just kind of the base part of it, if that makes sense to you.
Avery, what are you making of this? What'd you hear?
Wow. Let me take a second to process that, Chris. That was beautiful. I hear a lot that resonates with me, and I hear you, Chris. I hear you deeply. We get these labels as kids, as youngins, and that becomes essentially our identity, like a false identity based off just what people are perceived as us, or what's been told about us. Something that I battle with a lot growing up was, and this is crazy, right? Because this would be considered a positive, but I was, coined a good son, a good boy, a good man, a good, he's so polite, he's so good. And for a while, I didn't know what that meant, because in a sense, with my mom or people calling me a good boy, I correlate that to me being silent, by me not talking, by me not getting out of line, by being the good son to my mother. And because of that label, I didn't have a voice. I didn't have my own identity, because everything that I was doing, I wanted to make sure that I was good, right? I was considered what everyone saw me as, that label. And I drowned in that, because my voice was no longer myself. My character was no longer me. I constantly tried to be this persona that was created upon me to be this good boy, and what that meant to be a good boy or a good son.
Wow. That's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm curious. First and foremost, I want to thank both of you for just coming in really hot. Literally, you're already dropping bombs here. That's what this show is about. It's about us feeling safe to express our truth, because we're not free until we free ourselves. And what I love about this topic is that so many of us have no consciousness around how we're carrying the pressure, the heavy load, the weight from the assignment that was given to us by our caretakers in our childhood. And Avery, I'm curious, as a man that's in his 30s now, are you still working through the pressure of being that, we call that perfect little boy, that golden child? And I totally relate to that, because that was a role I took on in my family as well. And it got complicated. But I do want to invite you to share from your perspective, have you been able to navigate through that pressure? Or are you still in it? And if you have navigated through it, what have you learned about yourself? And what are you doing so that you don't repeat that same pattern and behavior for your own precious little girl, Aspen?
Oh, no, absolutely. That's a good one, Jay. That's really good. It is something that I am currently going through, currently battling, and breaking that persona. It's definitely been a lifelong journey. But during my journey, I have been able to take massive steps into not only becoming who I am, but breaking that title and not letting that define who I am. Whether that's in my relationships with my family, my mom, my dad, intimate, platonic. I've always wanted just to be that good person for everybody. Make sure that I'm loved. Make sure that I'm not breaking any rules of what would be considered good. And I'll tell you this, Jay, what's really helped me break through that title, that persona, was actually being closer to my father. These past couple years, we had a huge breakthrough with each other, and he's really taught me to come into my own. And his favorite quotes that he likes to say, I won't cuss, but I'll bleep it. He's like, I don't give a F. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if people see me as good or bad. I'm going to be me and know that what I do, my intent is never to hurt or to portray that I'm bad or good, but it's just to be who I am in my truth. And by seeing him do that, by being close to him, I've learned to start following my truth as well. And I've learned to just let go of that guard of like, I gotta be good. I gotta be, the best friend, the best son, the best this, the best that. I gotta care what everyone thinks. And I'm breaking free from that day by day. And I'm seeing, and my father's even quoted, he's seen the changes in me. And that lets me know, like, okay, I'm doing good. Like, this is definitely a process. It's a journey, and I have my ups and downs. I'll definitely come back and be like, nope, I'm going back into that shell. But to know that it is visually, or not visually, but it's being told to me that I'm seeing the changes in you, son, and you're doing amazing. Keep going, keep pushing
Wow.
forward. Yeah.
What a gift. But I am curious, is this new behavior for your own father? Was he not that way for you growing up? Did he care then? And has he had his own awakening of sorts?
No, absolutely. It's so I will share some backstory about my childhood and my parents, and even how I even got the title of being a good son. Unfortunately, my father was not in my life growing up, not to fault of his own. There were a lot of tensions between my mother and my father, and they did not see eye to eye very well. My mother kept me away from my father. I didn't know the truth of who my father even was until I turned 10. And then, even then, it was built off more lies of, he was a deadbeat father. He didn't want me around. He didn't love me. He didn't care for me. And as I got older, I found that wasn't true. So I was robbed of having that bond with my dad. And that is why now we have the bond that we do, because in this journey of breaking from being that good son, I learned so many truths about my family, about who I am, about my father, about my mother. And because of that, my father and I have gone to develop and become close. And he's also is going on his own journey. He's never had the chance to be a father the way he wanted to. It's very new to him. It's new to me to have a dad that's almost always around and wants to really show that love that he always wanted to. And it's definitely a journey that him and we go through it together. We cry a lot. We have our talks. We're really real with each other because we know we're both learning from each other. We have our faults. Sometimes we set off each other. We get angry, but we know it's because we're constantly just trying to figure each other out. It's new to both of us.
Wow. That is such a gift. And it's a gift that not everybody gets, especially when there's a parental alienation that takes place and as a child on a receiving end of that. I know you enough to know that you are in gratitude for having this new relationship with your dad. And wow.
It's been a beautiful journey, Jay. It's been beautiful.
I want to say this. You've heard me say this before in the show on different episodes, but I'll say it one more time. Welcome home, Avery Fletcher. How does it feel to be home in this relationship with your dad?
I'm gonna try not to get too emotional.
It's okay. It's okay. I get emotional. You can get emotional. How's it feel?
It feels good. It feels really good. It feels I'm starting to come into my own. And I know that it's not all my father's doing. I know I've been doing the work myself. I know I can't give him full credit, but having him on my side and really just keep encouraging me the way he does, really, it feels really good. And something I needed. I needed that truth, not to say like you're a good son, but say you are you, son, and I'm proud of you.
Kamalu, what are you making of all this? How are you connecting your dots to what Avery and Chris has shared? And what does the unconscious document mean for you in your life?
Wow, man. I think both have touched on some really poignant points here. Just about, I almost think of it like the blueprint that we have for the personality structure that we create, and the mask and the role that we play in society. And when I first heard of this topic, I was thinking about all the negative components to this, being called names or being told I'm too loud or this, that, or the other thing. But I think Avery brought up a really good point too, which is the positive reinforcement for certain behaviors that maybe aren't in true alignment with who you are, but who others want you to be. And then that also going into the document, into the blueprint. I also think Avery touched on a really powerful point, which is whether it's coming from family, from friends, from intimate beloveds, is the power of support. There's at the end of the day, it really does come back to doing the work on yourself for yourself, but we're not here to do it all alone, man. And there are people out there who really well and truly see us, and I've encountered these people in my journey and finding them more and more, who see me, like truly see me. Even if I have the mask up a little bit, they can like see right through it. They're like, I see you. You ain't hiding from me. And then those people are just encouraging and building and like asking the questions, where, oh, you're feeling this way. Where does that come from? And just having that extra person, that extra reflection to bounce the ideas off of, I can't stress enough how much that's helped me in my journey of uncovering my unconscious document. And I just feel really blessed for the people and the relationships I have in my life, that we can push those edges and those boundaries and go there with each other.
Well, let's push the edge and boundary with you right now, Kamalu.
Okay.
What unconscious document are you aware of, or documents in the plural, that you've been carrying, that you're sick and tired of carrying, and you're ready to cut the cords to and let go of?
Oof. Yeah, brother. It comes down to knowing what I bring to the table, knowing that I have something valuable to offer and to share, and that I don't need to do anything or be anyone other than myself in order to actually offer what I was put here to do. This has been a big theme of my life recently, because I just recently made a huge switch up. I drove across the country, and I'm now in Asheville, North Carolina, to do music and to devote myself to that. And one of the things that I noticed in my trek across the country was just this impending pattern, or repeating pattern cycle, a really deep layer of it, of, are you sure you're talented enough for that? Are you sure you're on par with everybody else who's there? Do you, And then that gets confused into something like, do you even know what it is you really want to do? Are you sure that what you're that what your heart is calling you towards is actually something you want to do or something that you deserve to do? And that's been the biggest thing recently that I've been sitting with, that I'm ready to let go of.
How do you let go of that?
It's a fantastic question, man. I'm actually curious to bounce that idea off some of you guys too.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember in the production meeting, we were talking about kind of following the trail of whys, like why would I believe that? And a lot of what I've heard about that process is you kind of find this memory that you uncover, and you're like, oh, because so and so said whatever when I was 6, that created this belief that has just perpetuated throughout my life. And I guess my kind of question to the group is, if for whatever reason that memory, that recollection isn't clear, what is the process then of still being able to identify and let go of that part of your document?
Chris, what do you make of that?
For me, anywhere I find words that are written that aren't love, that aren't compassion, that aren't understanding, that aren't love. Let's just go back to love. That aren't based out of love. That's not who I am. The universe is love. I am the universe. And any chance that I get where I can go back and, even if there are things for sure that aren't perfect picture clear memories, but if I can get to that definition of, this is what I remember being told, this is the feeling that I felt in my body, right? A lot of times when I can't find the core memory, I can still remember the feeling that I had inside of myself. And that's where I can really get into that forgiveness of, is this love? Is this a statement? Is this a statement in my document that serves me anymore? And if it's not, right? What is the statement? Well, I'm not angry. I'm not, you know, it's not I'm angry. It comes back to, I'm compassionate. I am more interested than interesting. I am listening. All of those parts of how I want to create the universe that I move into. I can start rewriting that operating system. I get to fully take, like, now that I'm aware that there even is an unconscious document, right? I just have taken agency. I have agency to write what it looks like going forward.
There you go.
And now, maybe not the first time, may not be the second time, maybe it's the 100th time I recite who I am creating this universe into. Goes a little deeper, that dissidence, right? I am the creator of my experience, and the universe, my creative vibration is so high that the universe aligns people and opportunities to who I am and to my purpose, right? And every once in a while you get a little voice and it's like, no, you're not. And you go, why? And you get back to a certain point and it's like, oh, because something like this. And you repeat it another 10, 15, 20 times and you get a little deeper and a little deeper. And so, and the other aspect of it is, or you override it. You say it enough times. So, there's there for me so far, what I've heard, what I've seen, what's happened for me is you either find that root or you override it. And I have not seen where if you say it enough times, you will, one of those won't come true. and you get to pluck it out by the root, or you get to pave over it with new fresh grass and a new way of being.
Beautiful. I'm going to paraphrase what I heard you say there, Chris, is that we don't have to believe everything that we hear within our own body, within our own mind, from the past recordings that we heard from a mother or a father or a sibling or a bully at school or the teachers or even a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
We get to rewrite the document. It's kind of like an author of a book. An author creates their own story, a new story, and what they have a rough draft. So you could look at your first part of your life. That was your rough draft. You didn't write that document. That document was written for you.
Yes.
Based on other people's perspective of how you were showing up as a child. But now you get to become the author of your own life, become the author of your soul, of your heart, and create a new manuscript, create the new journal, create the new book. And when you finally have the courage to step in and start moving those fingers of yours, start writing, create a new end of the book, a new end of the story, your life will be changed forever. Because it's your story now. It's not the story that was given to you by your childhood. How do I know it's possible? Because it's what I've done in my own life. I was living in my past unconscious document, and it wasn't one. Oh, that document had many chapters, many untruths. And the key to writing the new document is connecting with yourself. It's okay to ask your questions. Like Mary Kelly asked it in the comments. Is it true, Kamala? That's one of the 5 vital questions to ask at any given time. Is it true? Whatever the story is, whatever the thoughts, and then you get to deny it as truth. There's nothing separating you, Kamala, as an artist than your own self-doubt. When your heart's open and you're living your true, authentic, you're believing in yourself, you can take your skill set, your artistic, natural abilities to that next level. I believe so much of it is mindset.
Yeah.
And when you believe in yourself and you stop listening to those old tapes, to those old documents, it's time to create a new book, create a new chapter in your life. It comes down to, are you ready? Look, it's easy. Even when you shift gears, let's say in your career. I spent over 40 years in a corporate career that had a lot of success, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't at peace. It took its toll. And when I shifted into uncharted waters, it wasn't because I studied and I read more books on how to show up. It wasn't about the book reading as much as it was about opening myself up and really asking myself the deep questions. Who am I? Here, not here. And when I was able to answer that question, I got clarity. And even when I stepped into a new career and I get to witness and I get to experience some of the other people that do the kind of work I do as a soul coach, as a mindset coach, you can easily dip into all the insecurities, lack of self-confidence. That's a child. That's that kid within that's still living in, holding on to those unconscious documents. But instead, I show up. And how I show up is not in my head, but I show up in my heart. And by showing up that way, we have infinite possibilities. It's less, Avery, your dad's a smart man. Matter of fact, he's a brilliant man.
Don't tell him that. You get a big head.
Well, and the reason I say that, Avery, is because here's what I learned back in 2016. It's none of my business what you think of me. The only thing that matters is what do I think of me. That's it. And when you begin to believe in yourself and you know that you're your authentic self, no more mask. No more mask wearing. That's what our children need from us. That's what the next generation needs from us. They need mentors. They don't need more teachers. We got plenty of teachers out there. What we need is mentors for men. And the mentorship I'm talking about is just be your authentic self. Doesn't matter what other people think. If they think and they're not in alignment with you, then they shouldn't be in your life. What are you making of that, Avery? Are you hearing me? What I'm putting down?
No, not at all, man. Take that out. No, I'm joking. No, I hear everything, Jay. And, I think I've said this before. I hear my father in you, man. My father, he says the same thing in probably more profanity, but it's still the same message, right? He lives his truth and he's very authentic. And one thing that I really appreciate about my father, and I think you said it best, Jay, is we need more mentors, not teachers. And my dad is my mentor. He shows up as his authentic self. He doesn't try to teach me anything. He doesn't try to, hey son, this is how you do this and that. He's just himself. And because I see that authentic self, I see that radiance that comes from him, I'm like, I want to aspire to be that way. Not to be him, but to be that way, to be authentic. Because at the end of the day, I still have to live my truth, which is different than his. But he is mentoring me to be the way he shows up for himself. Not to be him, but to just show up for myself, find my own truth. And I think it's the most beautiful lesson that my father teaches me day in, day out, every day.
So how's that going to translate for your child?
Well, first off, she will see more of a goofy side from her father, right? but more importantly, what she will see is that her father, no matter what scenario that he surrounds himself in, no matter where he shows up, that she will see that I'm always myself. I don't try to kiss ass. I don't try to be someone that, whatever environment wants me to be. And I think that's going to translate to her to show up for herself, which I feel she already does. She has so much personality and just her own self, her authentic self. And I feel it's because I'm not here to teach her what to be. I'm here to show her what she wants to be. And that's letting her have that space, having that freedom to explore herself without me coming in saying, no, you shouldn't do this because, society says you have to be this way, or you're a girl, and because you're a girl, you have to do this. No, you want to play with G.I. Joes, baby girl, play with G.I. Joes. You want to run around and help daddy build, a heavy bag weight so you can punch with me. Absolutely. You want to learn how to fight. You want to do ballet, whatever it is. I always make sure that she can show up as her true authentic self. And because I show up as my true authentic self.
Beautiful. And Chris, you got yourself a couple of boys there.
Yeah. I mean, the line that I just keep on repeating in my head is our kids reflect more of what they catch us doing than what we tell them to do. Just sit with that for a second. They reflect more of what they catch us doing than what we tell them to do. And for me, it's all about my presence, the quality of my presence, the intentions behind it, and how can I, I was in the same type of deal, Avery. My biological father was never around. My adoptive father died when I was 12. And it's interesting. You had the good boy. You had that good boy over. Said over to you so many times. And for me, I had a similar thing where somebody was trying to just console me about at my dad's funeral. Hey Chris, you got to be brave, man. You got to be strong. You got to be there for your brother, your sister, and your mom. You're the man of the house, man. 12 years old, you become the man of the house, and you have no idea what that means. And so you just live that out as best you can. And it's just interesting how even positive things that people think that are being helpful can be part of that conversation, and just can really, really be difficult. So stepping into, as far as like my kids, what I thought is what was quality was just quantity, right? From the moment that my son was born, I thought that I always had to be there. It got to the point where I didn't do anything for myself for years, like not just a year or two, like 4 or 5 years. And I remember sitting there one day, and I can go right and I can go have like a nice sandwich somewhere, or I can go left, and I can go to a McDonald's or something like that, and I can get back as quickly as possible. And something finally just kind of broke in me. I was like, no, I need to take some time for myself. I was going through counseling. I had I had some other support systems that were getting me to take some time for myself, but I hadn't in years. I mean, like 3-4 years, I hadn't take any time for myself. And on that moment, I call it my right turn moments, right? Those times that I go take care of myself for a little bit. And now 4 more years later, right, I'm really realizing that 20 minutes, if I can be fully present for 20 minutes with my son, each one, right? Oliver wants to do games, board games. He loves playing Sorry, loves playing Uno. How much time does that take? 15, 20, 30 minutes. We do a round of that. Asher wants to listen to a book, read a book, play some video games. 20, 30 minutes of that. My relationship with them, being dedicated to 20 minutes a day to them, is a million times more than it ever has been.
How are they responding to that? Are you aware of a shift?
Oh, massive. Our communication is completely different, where it was like, it's more of an interaction. It's not more of them just talking at me and then me talking at them and then them talking at me. There's eye contact, looking up. And if I am on my phone because I'm doing something, they wait and be like, hey, Dad. And then I acknowledge them. Hey, yeah, just give me a second. Let me finish this up. Put it down. What you got, buddy? And we have these conversations that are just truly one, single back and forth between the two of us. And we get to have conversations about so much more when it comes to how they feel about different things. And I don't know, we can get really deep on where my kids are at and the conversations we have, if you want to go into that, because right now we're going through this transition of anxieties, and they're reacting to those, right? My son Asher last week, he was having tummy aches. He was having acid reflux. He was manifesting in his body stress in his stomach that was causing his body to have acid reflux. And he was sick. And so now having this ability to really have a conversation, we can sit there and be like, where's it at in your body, man? Where do you feel that? Where does that feel? And it's like, oh, my stomach, and it's tight, and then it's burning, and I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And I was like, yeah, man, that's so basically what's happened is that because there's so many differences, things happening, that it's really stressing you out, right? And you are, and all of these things that are happening around you are causing your body to react, and it's not in you. That feeling is happening to you, but that is not in you. That sickness, that dis-ease is not in you. You're just reacting to the environment that you're in, buddy. And that's that is a very common thing. All of us feel some type of dis-ease or uncomfortability when we're going into something new, right? Even if it's something new that we don't want to be in, or if it's something that we're not choosing ourselves, or if we're leaning into our edge, like going to find out how good of an artist am I really, right? You feel that dis-ease. You feel you're leaning into your edge. You're feeling fake, right? Me and a friend were going back and forth, and um, feeling fake is the same reaction as a good workout. It's the mental version of lactic acid, right? When you think that you aren't, like, it's because you're living into your edge, man. It's because you're going into that new territory. And so you have that imposter syndrome. You have that, and it's just because your brain, because the neural pathways are so deep on one side that it doesn't want to learn something new. Doesn't want to do something new. It just wants to stay safe in this little pocket over here.
Beautiful.
And you're leaning in, man. You're pushing yourself. So of course you're gonna feel something. You're gonna feel something, and that's right where you should be. You're not growing if you ain't feeling it.
Ain't that the truth?
I love what you shared, Chris. I've watched and witnessed you and your growth over some period of time as well, and I'm proud of you. I'm seeing such a significant shift. Yeah, and closing your eyes is a beautiful way as a man and a woman to receive an acknowledgement in your heart as opposed to your head. I know that's what you just did in that moment.
Yeah, you and I had that conversation about me not being able to acknowledge stuff, and I deeply acknowledge that, man. Thank you.
It is a journey and it takes courage. But the journey not only impacts us as men, it impacts the people that we choose to have in our inner circle, everyone in that circle. And so I want to absolutely encourage you to stay on this course and keep showing up first for yourself, then for your boys, and then for everyone outside of that circle. Kamalu, I want to switch gears right here, right now, and ask you this question.
Yeah.
How do you turn your past pain into your purpose today?
I think by really sitting with that pain and understanding where it comes from, why I may still choose to believe that, why that's more comfortable. Shifting into my purpose. It's rewriting it. I think that's a big part of rewriting the whole document and making a conscious document instead of an unconscious one, is to actually be able to give yourself the time and space to sit with those feelings and those emotions, and in a non-judgmental way, to just observe and to just listen, give it a fair hear, to not immediately identify it as a problem. That's been a big part of my journey. To be able to understand that at one point in time, that belief served me in some way, shape, or form. And then to actually ask myself, is it still serving me or is it not serving me? And if it's not serving me, then to rewrite that through affirmations, perhaps through journaling. I do a lot of mirror work, where I look myself in the eye and really like feel into these things. That's been really helpful for me. And I think part of the drive that I have for creativity as an artist comes from a lot of that pain. So being able to then take that pain and transmute it through something like music, through something like drawing or journaling, into artwork, into your creative expression, for me, it's like an alchemical process where I'm taking something that's weighed me down and not been of service to me, been painful for so long, and then take it through this process and then create something beautiful with it. And that's how I make my past pain my current purpose.
You know, it's interesting as you're sharing this, as each one of you this evening has dropped some what I call truth bombs and wisdom bombs. I want to share something that just came forward for me. Some of our unconscious documents aren't just about us. We have our own unconscious documents about our ancestors. I had one that I was carrying most of my life about my own father. And it was less than 2 years ago. I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I don't want to live in this story anymore. I want to change the unconscious document that I have been carrying about my own father for decades. And for me, it was asking a simple question. Did I have any recall? Was there ever a time where I saw my father joyous, laughing, free, childlike, having fun? And I was able to rediscover and uncover 2 times when I'd see my father. The first time was when I was introduced to racquetball as a teenager, as was my dad. And we'd play twice a week, cutthroat, me, him, and one of his close friends, Joe. And when my father would hit that killer shot in the corner or win a volley, and he would celebrate. Ooh, wow. And then I was like, are there any other positive memories of seeing my father free of his responsibility and of his own unconscious documents that he was living in? And it was when my dad was introduced to boating and fishing. And when he'd snag that, when that fish would catch that bait and he'd start to reel it in, he's screaming and yelling and celebrating. And when he'd catch, kind of grab that last part of the line and the fish is flopping in the boat, on the deck of the boat, my father was so happy. He was so excited. And just by, in that moment, recapturing 2 old memories that went back to my youngest years of my childhood, my teen years, I changed my relationship with my father. And my father's not even alive. He hasn't been alive since 2016. But through me being willing to cut the cords to the old unconscious document, my relationship with my dad has totally changed today. I only see my father as in those moments of excitement. And what I know today is that I don't think he was consciously aware in those moments on a racquetball court or fishing that I got to witness something within him that he was not witnessing about himself, his own child within, his own younger self. And my relationship today is healthy with my dad on the other side because of that. So even in that instance, Chris, it's not just our own unconscious document that we're holding on to. How many documents are we holding on to from our ancestors?
Absolutely.
It is the time for us to set them free. No longer blaming them or holding them accountable, living as the victim from all the experiences that I had that were hurtful, that hurt me as his son. Instead, I'm choosing,
Yes.
I've chosen
Yes.
to write a conscious document with my daddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's peace in that. So yeah, it's nice to come home. I'm going to switch gears. So, well, before I do, anyone have any comments you want to piggyback on what I just shared? Chris, what are you feeling, man?
Love, man. I love you. I love you so much, man. Thank you for constantly keeping this real, constantly showing up as your authentic self, being an example for men across the globe that it's okay to be real. It's okay to show up and wear your feelings on your sleeve. Came to me a little while ago, that concept of, John Wayne maybe never actually killed any Indian, but that mentality has killed a lot of men, that we've got to bear this stuff alone, that we can't show up just as you showed up. And so I deeply appreciate you showing up and showing those emotions and allowing my emotional self to feel that I'm not alone, that it's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to be upset. It's okay for me to just be in any given moment who I am and what I'm feeling, and that's okay.
Welcome home, Chris. Welcome home to yourself, your authentic self, and welcome home to being a healthier parent for your children. And welcome home to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Avery, I noticed it appeared as though you got a little emotional when I was speaking. I saw you wipe your eyes a few times. I debated, do I let you get away with it or do I bring it up? Like, what came forward for you? What were you feeling, man?
Just hearing you be so open, Jay, and to hear the beautiful story about you and your dad. Something that I'm going to say something that I've never verbally said out loud. And Jay, you really inspired me to say this because I've for so long held that unconscious document, that ancestral document about my father. And that was, for the longest time, I hated my dad. I hated my father because I thought he didn't love me. I thought he didn't want me. And it's because I never got to see him. I never got to see the authentic him. I was told stories. I was kept away from him. And the moments when I did see him, he never had the opportunity to show that kid-like side, that love, that compassion, that vulnerability. And every time I used to be able to see him growing up, and I would see him for the weekend and go back home, I really truly thought he didn't love me. And because of that, I hated him. because of the relationship I have with my father now, because of seeing the love he gives me, the love he gives himself, seeing those moments where he doesn't even catch himself being his childlike self, his happy self, his positive self, seeing the man that he is, that he carries himself to be. I love that man with all my heart. My father is a beautiful soul, and I am grateful to be able to share the experience I have with him on this earth. I've learned to realize how precious it is. I've learned to realize just who he is. And if my father is watching this now, because I sent this to him, I just want to tell him that Pops, love you with all my heart. I know that you did the best that you could. I'm sorry that I carried so much negative energy towards you. You're a beautiful soul, and you've done so much for me in my life. And I thank you.
How do you even respond to that, Chris? How do you hold space for Avery in this moment, who had the courage to speak his truth? He said for the first time in his life, he shared something he had never spoken out loud before.
Oh man, I just hear him speaking into my shadow. I don't know if I hate my dad, but I definitely don't want to be around him. I definitely don't want to have anything to do with him. And I don't know if I can give him the chance again. I don't know if that's something if that's an avenue that's available, but it's definitely something that there's some work. So thank you for speaking your truth, because there's definitely some work there that, again, nothing that I would have ever looked at. So having somebody speak so brilliantly and so authentically of where they're at and where they've been, right? Definitely pokes at that little point there of work yet to be done. That mountaintop is never reached, man. So thank you for being the light that shines into that shadow today, because there's definitely some thoughts, some stuff going around there, and I don't, just thank you, man. Thank you for having a similar path, making me feel like I'm not alone. I hear you. I love you. You're home.
Chris, what Avery brought for you this evening is one word called hope. And the acronym for hope, you may have heard me say this before. I'll say it again for you right now. It's healing our perspective every day. I want to encourage you to hold on to that word of hope. That it's possible that you will write a new conscious document with your father. But don't try to control it. Invite God into it. Invite a power greater than yourself, what I call divine time. Not necessarily your time, but what you have the opportunity to do, what we all as men have the opportunity to do, to continue to do, is heal those trauma wounds. Put the focus on our own healing journey, not on our parents, not on our ex-partners, not on our ex-wives or ex-husband. Put the focus on you. Dig deeper. And when you're ready to receive that next level of healing those wounds that you've been carrying, those unconscious documents, you'll be free. Never give up. But what you can do is surrender. There's a difference. Surrendering is not giving up. Surrendering is surrendering to your egoic mind that thinks it's got to control every freaking outcome. Through avoidance, through isolation, through numbing out, through checking out. It's overrated, man. Instead, have the courage. Have the courage to show up as yourself. Speak your truth as Avery just did here, right now. Avery, you lost about 20 pounds tonight, didn't you?
Yeah. It was a huge release. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Kamala, you have been such an amazing listener this evening.
I'm just soaking it all in, man. Wow.
Where do you take this? Where do you take this? We're going to go over a little bit this tonight on the show, and I'm okay with that. Because this is one of those shows where, how do you put closure on the show? But more importantly, what did you hear right now, Kamala? Because I know you've been carrying some unconscious documents that you've been unraveling most recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my relationship with my parents is a huge one. And they both hold such different energies to them. What I was really feeling as Avery was speaking was how much I loved my dad too. He was the at-home parent for me growing up, and I just remember I have so many fond memories of just playing with him and being silly and goofy. And as time went on and the relationship between him and my mom got worse and worse, I just saw him totally resign himself in so many ways. He was no longer that person. And then I felt the burden, and that became part of my document, that I needed to be the one to hold space for him. I needed to take care of him because I loved him so dearly. And that was never my burden to carry. It wasn't my work. And I'm just realizing now that I think because of all this background with my dad and my family, I see my dad making efforts to want to be close again. But I don't think I've really been comfortable enough within myself to give him the opportunity to really know who I am now. And so I feel sad about that. And I'm just wondering too if it's I guess I'm wondering if at this point in time our relationship is ready to be that close and that open. I think now that I'm out of the house and on my own, that's shifting because I'm finding more ability within myself to speak my truth. There's less of a sense of dependency on him, so that helps a lot. But yeah, I think with my dad and with my sister too, there's a level of closeness that I felt with them when I was a really little kid that feels disconnected now. And so like Chris, I feel a lot of hope and inspiration listening to Avery speak about the current relationship with his father. And I'm just truly grateful to have heard you, Avery, and you, Chris, as well. the way both of you have shown up tonight, it's just like, yeah, it's hitting deep, brother. Thank you guys.
More opportunity to process. I want to invite each one of you to watch the replay, because when you watch the replay as a viewer, you're going to receive it very differently than being in a studio and on set and never knowing when you're going to get hit with the next question or be tagged. Chris, I want to invite you with what time we have left. Two things. One, I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to share what is the project that you're currently involved in. What is that? What does it mean for you? And then secondly, I'd like you to close us out with your what's it been like to be on a show tonight, and what have you uncovered and discovered about your own unconscious documents that you're ready to either honor, respect, or cut the cords to.
Oh, all right. Well, let's for me right now, the project that I'm working on is Being Kids. It's raising the consciousness of kids across the world. It's letting them know that they have agency to write their own document, that they get to write the OS, that they get to live the rest of their lives of too. And so for me, it's, I've written a kid's book that I'm working on getting published. And so that is written. It's, getting edited and will be out as quickly as I possibly can. And so I lead a global call every Saturday morning of people that are all working towards this common goal of raising the consciousness and getting this conversation to the youngest people that we can, 4, 5, 6-year-olds. And so that is my purpose right now, is leading that with as much every ounce of vigor that I possibly can. And then being here, oh, good Lord. Surreal. It's just surreal, man. Like meeting you in your home 2 years ago and being like, man, this guy's really intense. And just the depth, yes, you, the depth of your listening in your heart was different for me, was different. And I loved it, man. I loved the amount of connection, the authenticity, the realness was there from the moment we came in the door. And to still have kept connected, and now to be, I just remember a call that you and I were on, and my last words were to you, I have no hope. And that's where I was a year ago. I had no hope. I fully live in a realm of infinite possibility. Whatever I decide to create from here, the universe aligns the people and the opportunities for it to become truth. Everything that I've leaned into over the last couple of months, the universe is working with me to do. And it's just beautiful to know that, and for you to witness that journey, to be part of that journey with me, to have those conversations with me. It means a lot to me, man. It means a lot to me to share space with you, hold space with you.
It shows the progress that we get to make. It's a choice. It's been an honor. And by the way, Chris, you're welcome back to Real Men Real Talk Live in the future, on future episodes in season 4. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm proud of each one of my co-hosts. Some people don't like when we give accolades, but you know what? We don't give enough accolades. We spend too much time invalidating each other's feelings instead of validating the truth. So if there are people that don't enjoy accolades, I'm sorry. But it's how I choose to live my life today. When I feel something and I see it, I'm here to acknowledge it as my truth. So I am proud of each one of you. Bob Phillips invited each one of us to challenge to close out 30 seconds or so, sharing some action steps on how do you cut the cords to your past traumas that have created your unconscious documents. Now, kind of feel like we've kind of touched on that this evening already, but if you could wrap it up into less than a minute. Avery, I'll give you the first shot at it. Just one or two action steps to help break the cord, break the chain, cut the cords to our past trauma and pain.
Yeah,
That's what we've been living in this unconscious document.
absolutely. No, I'll get straight to the point. Just keep pushing forward. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but it's going to be a battle. But I'm in the boxing ring with myself, with society. Always just keep pushing forward and keep on breaking that chain constantly.
Beautiful. Kamalu, what do you got?
Mm.
One action step.
Just keep showing up for myself, man. Giving myself what I need. When I feel those fears come up, permission to take a second, to take an hour, however much time I need to really sit with that and feel into it. Yeah, give myself the time and space and permission to show up for myself, however that looks in the moment.
Beautiful. Chris, how do you clear it out?
Write your conscious document. Write it down, get it on paper, recite it, read it, live it every single day. And when you find that dissonance inside of your head that says this is not true, believe it, explore it, go as back far as you can, and love and accept that that is not who you are.
I could tell you that was a big part of, for me, that was the number one action step. I took all of what you shared here, but the one that had the greatest impact was through writing a new document daily. I alternated between writing as my adult self, and the next day I'd let my younger self do the writing.
Oh, damn.
And then what I did, Chris, was I read out loud that document entry that day so that I could hear it and feel it vibrating throughout my entire freaking body. And that was the gateway. That was the portal. That was the gateway to me finding my way home, to my true authentic self as a human being, as that man, age 55, 56, and 57. And through that, feeling safe to write my own document, not asking anyone to critique it, not getting graded on it, no judgment, just speaking my truth on my freaking notes app, typing it on my phone. That was my journal.
Yeah.
I will share this is that my unconscious document that I carried my entire life from the time I was 7 years old was that I was a sensitive little boy. So I overcame that. I manned up. I became a masculine dude, a powerful masculine dude, using my leverage in corporate America. But I had no connection to myself. And it showed up in disease in my body, Temple. I got sick. For me, the action step was no longer caring, Avery, what other people thought. I'm going to be who I am today. Yeah, there's moments where as a man, I'm emotional. You saw it tonight. I'm at peace with that. If you're not at peace with it, that's on you. I'm going to be who I am today. There's nobody that's going to prevent me from being my authentic self. That's the journey of coming home, my friends. And with that, viewers, please share it out. If you heard something that resonated with you, reach out to any one of us 4 men. We'd love to hear from you. And Chris, I'm going to say this on air. Anytime you need support, you want bodies in your project, your program that you're working on for the kids, I'm in, man. Sign me up.
Love you, brother.
We need more men making a difference in children's life. And with that, I love you guys. An amazing show this evening. We haven't gone over like this in over 1 season, but sometimes you just gotta say what the shiitake.
Love it.
Love you,
And,
man. Nice.
I love you, man. You're beautiful. Keep showing up. Viewers, thank you for joining us this evening. Catch us next week on episode 183, but tonight was all about the unconscious document. Thank you for joining us this evening on Real Men, Real Talk, Live.